Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Divine Mother, hold our hand, take us from unreal to real, from darkness of ignorance to wisdom of light, from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Divine Mother, Mahavatar Babaji, our beloved Krishna, Yoga Kshema Vaham Vaham. Krishna had said, whatever you ask for me, if you surrender to me, I shall grant you. Not only grant you, I shall make sure it is protected and nobody takes it away from you. That's the power of the that-centered and thou-centered spiritual religion that we're talking about. In the most religions have thou-centered God and that-centered. That is you and I, and thou is the God in the heaven. We'll talk about this in detail on Sunday. Today, I wish to let you know that the Divine Mother, Mahavatar Babaji, through the hand of this, got this beautiful book printed. It's about 87 odd pages. And if God really exists, then why do we suffer? Many of you have got it. I'm going to start doing this little bit of understanding this book through our sessions. And it took me almost 2 years to write that bit from the Upanishad Vedanta, collecting. You know, the question is, God is there. We know God exists in the form of Divine Mother, Allah, Christ, God, Krishna, Vishnu, Mahadeva, or Ganpati Baba Moria, Kartikeya, Mother Saraswati, Lakshmi. God exists. And if God exists, then why should we suffer? This was the question came into my mind. One of my beloved friend and then my sister, they all suffered losses during this COVID-19. And before that, I started to delve into this. So some of the things were there and then all these things happened. So that's how they came about. See, question is very simple. God is supreme, powerful, can do anything. And a human parent, they will never do any harm to their children. But they're not powerful. They're least power. They would not allow anything to happen to their children, but they cannot stop it because they don't have the power. God has the power, but apparently God doesn't do it. This is how the question came about, and which is what is dealt with. Whereas, as you study it, you would see Upanishad beautifully explained to us it is not the case. So what is the case? And that is what is dealt in this beautiful book. I must say the book has come out very nice. So all of you read it. Those of you who haven't got it, please come. It will be a lovely gift from Divine Mother and Babaji to you. Okay? So next, what we're going to take on today is the wisdom of the Upanishads for the modern women and men of time. The wisdom of Upanishads. Upanishad, when you go ahead and describe, right at the beginning, it explains Vedanta Nama Upanishada Pramana. So Upanishads actually lead to Vedanta. What is Vedanta? Vedanta, what it means, simple. Veda is knowledge and Anta is end of all knowledge. There is one meaning. The other, it goes to say the Anta is not end of all knowledge. The Anta is the cutting edge of a knife, sharp knife. So this knowledge is so sharp, it's called Anta. Veda knowledge, sharp as a knife, cuts through all doubts. And we are the rich heritage of that. What saddens me as I started dealing with this, that you and I, most Indians today, have forgotten, don't know anything about it. Our intention has been divinely guided. Swami Vivekananda wanted, his mission was that every person walking on the street in the modern world, or in the villages, or in the slums, must know this wisdom, supreme wisdom, and take away this suffering. And you will see that this suffering which comes into you and me, which we blame God, if God, you exist, why is it? Where is suffering as you proceed? When you read the book and when you go through the sessions, and we've been talking about it earlier, it's because of our mind. Our mind. So we'll deal with this more. Do go ahead, write down if you like to ask any question. You know, there is a beautiful book which tells about the influence of the Vedanta in the West. And there is one book called American Veda. This book, as you can see, is written by Philip Goldberg. Philip Goldberg, Americans are taken on so seriously studying, and he is studying this since 1950s. He is talking Philip Goldberg today. He traveled around India extensively. And he says today that the entire American mind is set because of the influence of Indian Vedanta. And just think the parody, my message to myself and to all of us. How come Americans and the Europeans are getting molded by the Indian Vedanta and Indians are getting molded by the Western influence? That's the parody, isn't it? That's a joke. Oprah Winfrey, a very famous multi-billionaire, she says, how can you start a day without Vedanta meditation, mindfulness meditation? And you and I, we are pretty happy starting our day, rushing off and rushing in. So let's do some little understanding. And I know that giant from within you is just waiting to wake up. Just waiting. You know, if you take a box of match. One matchstick is enough to cause a fire, raging fire, burn a building. But notice one thing, that box of match and a matchstick must not be wet. Whole box cannot create anything then. You and I have intensive power within us, but we are not using it because our box of matches, the power within, has gone unnoticed because we don't know about it. We are ignorant about it. And Philip Goldberg is talking that how the influence of the Western mind has influenced now the Indian mind. A wonderful story he depicts in his book. You know, he had made a trip to India, Philip Goldberg. When he visited India, he went to many places. He went to Rishikesh. Walking along the Ganges, he found those, little huts on which the monks live and stay there meditating and spending their life in discovering God, realizing who we are. He found one young man, around 30 years of age. He looked at him, he looked very smart, he was closed eyes and he was sitting silently still. So Philip Goldberg went down and sat next to him. After a while, this man opened his eyes. You know, when you're meditating, those of you meditate, have you seen? You come to know. Close your eyes, you come to know everything what is happening. Eyes are closed, but you will come to know. Your consciousness becomes very strong, awareness. He opened his eyes and said, "Yes, sir," in English. The monk talked to Philip Goldberg because he's an American. He said, "Yes, sir, what is it that I can do for you?" So Philip Goldberg said, "You speak very good English." He said, "Yes, I'm an educated Indian." He said, "How did you become a monk?" He said, "You know what? When I was with my parent in India, I was an atheist. I did not believe in God. This was the influence of my society, my school, and the people around. I got selected to study English in US. I went to US in an Ivy League school. I started studying. During the study of English literature, I came across Emerson. Emerson, you all may be knowing, is called the American mind. Deeply influenced with great collections of India's Upanishad, Vedanta, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavad Gita. He's got great collections. He wrote about the influence of the Indian Vedanta. He said after reading Emerson, this Indian boy, the college student, he chose to leave America, come back to India and start searching for God. Just think, Indian Vedanta, Upanishad, went to America and there listening, reading to Emerson, one Indian boy who went from India to America came back to India and became a monk. What a beautiful harmony of understanding and religion. But it's a parody that we in India are not trying to understand this. This, our intention is to take all of us across, learn more, understand more. You know, Emerson, very famous, known. We have many. Thoreau, Walt Whitman, are all great Americans, extremely fond of. In Harvard University, School of Divinity, a school studying Vedanta and bringing comparison between religions of the world and how Vedanta has been so different and yet influences all. Intense study. T.S. Eliot, famous poet, writer, he had the largest collection of Upanishads and Vedas. And he says, I will quote, "When I read these ancient sages, I see that compared to them, our philosophers of today's date are merely schoolboys." T.S. Eliot from America is writing that sages' philosophy is so strong, so powerful, so beautiful that their top philosophers are just school children. This is the influence of the Vedanta in the world outside. Why is it you and I, ignorance and our education system, has taken us for education for earning money, learning for earning money. Swami Vivekananda goes ahead and tells, learning is not for earning money. Education in the school is first, is to manifest that divinity which is already in man. Education is to manifest that divinity, that power within, already in man. This is that matchbox of the light. And talks about Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer, German, he's written one of the largest collection. He received a book, Latin translation of a Persian translation of an original Sanskrit Upanishad. They named the Persian translation done by Dara Shikoh. Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, Dara Shikoh, that time emperor in Delhi, got it translated in Persian language, called it Upanishad. That Upanishad got translated when it went to Germany in Latin, which went to Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer goes on to say that Upanishads have been the solace of my life. They have been solace of my life. He could not sleep without reading 1-2 lines of Upanishad every night. And he says, and will be the solace of my death. See, such powerful things. World is so benignly, beautifully embracing it. And you and I are quite happy being ignorant. Let us rise up and take up Uttishtata Jagrata in the Vivekananda's word. He says, Schopenhauer has written a book, The World as Will and Idea. It was written in German language, 4 volumes, but there is an English translation of 1 volume, in which he goes on that follow the pages of the best known to the Indian Rishis called Indian Maya. In The World as Will and Idea, the world, universe, he's quoting it as Maya. I want you to take on a very simple message. If you take an eggshell and apply force to the eggshell from the outside, the eggshell will crack and break. The egg will spill out. Life within the egg will be lost. The outside force, external efforts, when you put into any practices, especially spiritual practice, it gets destroyed or nullified, and we may keep on acting on it, it doesn't work. But if the force is from inside the egg, like the chick emerging by breaking the eggshell, a life gets born. I want you to understand that there is a powerful, brilliant light within you and me. And that is Vedanta is talking about, the light of the light. Meaning, this light which is working, this camera which is working, this computer which is working, that air conditioner which is working, the mic which is working. What is it, that one thing which is common in all of them? You and I have studied, so we say it is electricity. Question comes in Upanishad. A student is asking Guru, Sir, what is that one thing which is there when I see you, when I listen, when I eat, when I play, when I throw my weapons, when I understand, when I don't understand? What is that one thing present? And that is that light called the light of consciousness in you and me. And that light is like the wish tree. You can plant anything onto it. I'm giving you a trick today. It is a very famous ancient Indian mudra. Put your 3 fingers, center finger on the third eye, and the other 2 fingers in the little socket close to the bridge, and press gently in with the other finger in Dhyana Mudra, and for just 3 to 5 seconds, see the brilliant light flooding your forehead. That's the light. You know, this light is so powerful. If it falls on the dirty something on the road, it doesn't get dirty. It is detached, like the sunlight. Sunlight falls on something dirty on the road, doesn't get. If this light falls on something like a pitcher of wine or beer, it doesn't get drunk. This light falls on holy river Ganga, it doesn't become holy. It is always detached. That light is detached, it's the light of consciousness. And that light has the power, if you generate from within, like the life, like the matchstick, with purity and truth. Practice, watch. And you know, when you see that light is the consciousness light created this universe, this galaxies, stars, planet, billions of plants and animals, the mountain, the ocean, the river, the dog, the dolphin, anything that you can think about. It can do anything. When you see that light, use it to change your life. Plant the seed of your dream, of your desire, and don't try to work it out. How is it going to happen? What if it doesn't? Don't. The universe, the consciousness, the light, the nature is waiting for you to visualize it, and not what and why, but work at it. It is what is going to come out of it, not how. How would it happen? But what? Visualize that. You have a right to contribute to your future and change your lifetime. Abundance of finance, structures, benefits are waiting for it to flood in. Infinite love, infinite intelligence and power, name and fame is waiting. And the beauty is, when you get them, you suddenly realize, I'm detached, just like Vivekananda. Viveka means knowing what is right, what is wrong. He knew what is right and wrong, and he discriminated the wrong, and he got detached from the world. Don't worry, you're not going to become a monk and run up to Himalayas. You will know and become a better son, better daughter, better professional, better husband and wife. And I wish you good luck till we meet you on this Sunday. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnassa Purnamadaya Purnameva Bhavishyate. The Purna takes birth from Purna. Purna, when you take away from Purna, Purna alone remains. So wonderful. And that Purna is your consciousness. Jai Guru.